Propaganda. It's a word that often conjures images of wartime posters, fiery speeches, and shadowy government plots. But what if I told you that propaganda is far more pervasive than we realize? In the modern world, propaganda is everywhere, shaping the way we think, feel, and act, often without us even noticing. From governments and corporations to media outlets and influencers, everyone seems to have a stake in manipulating public opinion. But how does it work, and what makes it so powerful? Let's uncover the hidden mechanisms behind propaganda and how it influences the world around us. The concept of propaganda isn't new. It dates back centuries, with its roots in ancient civilizations. In ancient Rome, for instance, rulers used coins, monuments, and public speeches to shape the perception of their leadership. However, the term propaganda, as we know it, emerged in the 17th century, when the Catholic Church established the Congregation for the Propagation of the Faith to promote its teachings and counter the Protestant Reformation. Over time, propaganda evolved from a religious tool to a powerful weapon in the arsenal of governments, corporations, and ideologies. Fast forward to the 20th century, and propaganda reached unprecedented heights. During World War I and II, propaganda became a critical tool for rallying public support, boosting morale, and demonizing the enemy. Governments employed posters, films, and radio broadcasts to control the narrative and mobilize their populations. Think of iconic slogans like "Loose Lips," "Sink Ships," or posters like "Uncle Sam's I Want You." These messages weren't just about conveying information. They were designed to evoke emotions, build unity, and suppress dissent. But propaganda isn't just a relic of the past. In fact, it's more relevant today than ever before. The digital age has revolutionized the way propaganda is created and disseminated. Social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube have become fertile ground for propaganda campaigns, allowing messages to spread faster and farther than ever before. Algorithms amplify content that triggers strong emotional responses, making it easier for propagandists to exploit our fears, hopes, and biases. One of the most insidious aspects of modern propaganda is how seamlessly it blends with everyday life. Unlike traditional propaganda, which often carried an overt message, today's propaganda is subtle and disguised. It might take the form of a viral meme, a sponsored article, or even a seemingly authentic social media post. The goal isn't just to inform or persuade, it's to manipulate. By framing the narrative, controlling the flow of information, and appealing to emotions, propaganda shapes our perceptions of reality. Consider the role of corporations in modern propaganda. Through advertising and public relations, corporations craft narratives that influence how we view their products, services, and even values. Think about how brands position themselves as environmentally friendly or socially responsible, even when their practices tell a different story. This is a form of propaganda designed to shape public opinion and build trust while diverting attention from the negative aspects of their operations. Governments, too, continue to wield propaganda as a tool of control. In authoritarian regimes, propaganda is often blatant and forceful, used to suppress dissent and maintain power. But even in democratic societies, propaganda is alive and well. Political campaigns, for instance, rely heavily on propaganda techniques to sway voters, often using misleading or emotionally charged messages. Media outlets, whether intentionally or unintentionally, can also act as vehicles for propaganda, framing stories in ways that align with certain agendas. One of the most alarming trends in modern propaganda is the rise of fake news. False or misleading information, often presented as legitimate news, has become a powerful tool for influencing public opinion. Whether it's used to sway elections, discredit opponents, or create division, fake news exploits our cognitive biases and erodes trust in traditional sources of information. The result is a fragmented society where truth becomes subjective and manipulation thrives. But how does propaganda work on a psychological level? At its core, propaganda targets our emotions rather than our intellect. It uses fear, hope, anger, and pride to bypass critical thinking and elicit immediate reactions. By repeating messages, simplifying complex issues, and appealing to existing beliefs, propaganda creates a sense of familiarity and credibility. It also leverages social pressure, encouraging conformity and discouraging dissent. Take, for example, the technique of bandwagon propaganda. This approach exploits our desire to fit in by suggesting that everyone else supports a particular idea or behavior. By creating the illusion of consensus, propagandists can influence individuals to adopt certain views or actions, even if they might have initially been skeptical. Similarly, the fear appeal technique uses threats and warnings to provoke anxiety and drive people toward a specific solution or course of action. So, what can we do to resist the power of propaganda? The first step is awareness. By recognizing propaganda when we see it, we can begin to question its motives and critically evaluate its messages. It's also important to diversify our sources of information, seek out credible and independent perspectives, and remain skeptical of emotionally charged or overly simplistic narratives. Media literacy is a crucial skill in the digital age, helping us navigate the vast sea of information and identify what is trustworthy and what is manipulative. Ultimately, propaganda is a double-edged sword. It can be used to inspire positive change, rallying people around important causes and ideas. But it can also be weaponized to deceive, divide, and control. The power of propaganda lies in its ability to shape our perceptions of reality, influencing not just what we think, but how we think. In a world where information is power, understanding the mechanisms of propaganda is more important than ever. The question is, are we willing to look beyond the surface and uncover the truth, or will we continue to be pawns in a game we don't even realize we're playing? The choice is ours, but the stakes couldn't be higher. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.